I wanted to talk to you about the different types of hand warmers, at least the types of hand warmers that I use. There's all kinds out there, and I love them. I'm a big hand warmer user. My friends see me use them all the time, and over the years I've bought different kinds, and I just think they're great. Turn them on, put them in your pocket. They'll warm you up. Some things I like to do is I like to put a lanyard around it. I use some rope like this and a paracord, and I put the hand warmer inside here, and I'll drop it around my neck in between my shirt and my coat, and that kind of keeps your core warm. Sometimes I just put them in my pocket. Sometimes I just put them underneath my gloves on the back side of my hands. The smaller ones I'll slip up underneath the gloves and keep my hands warm. But they've kind of progressed and improved over the years, and there's different tiles, and I thought there were different kinds, and I thought I'd just mention the different kinds so you guys know what to look for in case you're interested or you have one of these and you want to know a little bit of information about it. Typically today, what you're going to find on the market is these Zippos. Zippo makes a hand warmer. It's kind of a reproduction of what we used to find on the market back in the 40s through the 70s. There's a company called the Aladdin Manufacturer Company, and they made a Jon-e hand warmer, which I'll show you in a little bit. And then China was making one, I can't remember what name under, but it was called the Peacock, and you can still buy the Peacock today. Ironically, the Zippo version looks very much like the Peacock version that's made in China. Anyhow, this is kind of how these work. You pull the top off, and you have I call it a filament. I don't really know what you want to call it. It's basically a piece of non-combustible wool material, like a glass, with some platinum in it. And when you pop this off, you have access to some cotton, which very typically looks like what's in a Zippo lighter. It probably is the same stuff. So, this was made by Zippo. And you put your lighter fluid in here. They come with measuring cups, look similar like this, and they have a couple markings like half full and all the way full, and I think they're supposed to designate like 6 hours and 12 hours, but honestly I get a lot longer time than 12 hours out of this. And you fill that up, and you just fill and tip it like this and just pour them down inside so that cotton absorbs it. Then when you're done, you put this back on here like that. It just press fits. And you take a Zippo lighter or any other lighter and you light it and you hold the flame underneath this guy here. And what you're doing is you're getting this material hot. You're kind of pre-starting the catalytic action. Once it gets started, the hand warmer will get hot and the fumes keep coming out. And as the fumes go through this material, it makes the platinum get hot, and that's what creates your heat. Then you put this cap back on it and this guy will get really hot. And you slip it in this sleeve, and the sleeve does a couple things. It makes it so your hands do not get burnt, but it also slows the oxygen down a little bit to kind of control the heat a little bit. And what I have found out is I can burn it with the top open. It'll burn really hot, but if I cinch it down a little bit, it'll make it not burn as hot. And obviously if you tighten it down so that you can't get a lot of oxygen into it, only through the material itself, it'll last longer. And it'll also not get as hot. So if it's a really cold day, you might not want to do that. But if you want to just get a little bit of heat out of it, you'll cinch it down tight. So that's what you're going to see. Zippo makes two sizes at this time. They make this size, which I think they call their 12-hour, but you can get more than 12 hours out of it. And they make this size, which is a little bit smaller, and it's supposed to be a 6-hour runtime. And again, I get a little longer out of that as well. As I mentioned earlier about the Jon-e, this is what the Jon-e is, and it's a pretty big unit compared to the Zippo. It's a little thicker than the Zippo. The Zippo is pretty streamlined, but it's still not bad. It feels pretty good in your hand. I think run time on this one is probably closer to about 20 hours. You can always tell a Jon-e by how it's made. First of all, it has this little flap door on the top. It opens up, and I think that would say you could put your cigarette down in there and start it, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And so you pull that off, and its top is red. All of the Jon-e's by the Aladdin Manufacturing Company that I have seen so far have had a red top, and it pops off just as the Zippos do. And you put your fluid down in there. The Jon-e's have something different. They have a wick, and you can light that wick, and that wick will help you start the catalyst. So you don't have to hold the Zippo underneath it. You light the wick, and just kind of let it start itself, and then you blow out the flame, you put the cap back on, put it in the bag, and you're good to go. I really don't know where these are made. I assume they're made in China, but you can find these two particular models on the internet all day and all night. They don't sell for much. They sell for like $3 to $7. I guess if one was really, really clean and it was in new condition, I might even pay as high as $10. But the good thing about them is they're cheap, so if you beat them up, you don't really care, which is why I like them. But this particular model is incredibly large compared to the old Jon-e model. It's huge. And I like that because it'll last at least 24 hours. So I keep a couple of them. I keep take them camping with me, and I'll light one day and let it wear out, and I'll light the other one. I'll just kind of alternate back and forth. But they're standard hand warmers. They just got a standard catalyst and a place to fill them. They don't have the wick in them like the Jon-e does. But for the price, you can't beat them. They work pretty well. This one's pretty new to the market. It's made in Korea, and the model is called the S Boston. So if you want to find one, you can just Google S-Boston hand warmer, and it'll come up. I want to talk about some of the features, but I want to talk about some of the limitations first before I get into that. Your standard hand warmer, as I said, just has a cap, and it has a filament, and you have to pull the filament off. You fill it up, you put the filament back on. But if you don't light it right away, what will happen is your fluid in here will evaporate. So it's kind of hard to fill one of these in a car because you got to measure it out and you got to pour it down the center. So sometimes I like to pre-fill them, put them in the car with me, or take them camping. But I have to use that very quickly because over the course of a day or two, it'll start to evaporate, and you probably will not even be able to light it after a week. So that's a big limitation. The second thing is you have to light it, so that's kind of a pain. You have to carry a lighter with you or you can't use them, and it's hard to extinguish them. They tell you can't, the Zippo company does, but you can do a couple things. You can sit it down on a table and put you a glass over the top, and that'll take the oxygen. It needs its own oxygen. It'll just go out that way. Some people online put them in a bag and put them in a plastic zip-up bag and zip it, and they say that'll deplete the oxygen and put it out. You can also take a pair of pliers and pull the filament off. You obviously can't touch the filament because it's hot, but a pair of pliers would allow you to handle it and pull that off and put it aside, and that'll extinguish it. But there's no easy way to extinguish the catalyst reaction. It's just not designed to turn off, I should say. So what the manufacturer of this company did is they took that in consideration. And when you pull the lid off, what you notice is there is a rubber plug on this side and the catalyst is on this side. And they offset the catalyst output to one side. So when you fill this, if you want to store it, you simply flip it like this and plug it. And now you can take this with you, and your fluid will not evaporate, and it's ready until you want to light it. So that's pretty clever. I like that. And then when you want to run it, you just unplug it, flip it around, and line it up with the catalyst, and it's ready to light. So they solved that problem by doing that. The next thing they solved is this kind of a pain in the rear end to carry a lighter with you and light these things. So this manufacturer has a place where you put a couple of AAAs in it, and it has an igniter built into it. And basically what that is when you press this button down, you can see inside a red glow. They have a hot wire laying on top of the catalytic material, and that gets it started so you don't need a lighter. So that was pretty clever. So now all you need to do is carry this with you. You can turn it off, and when you need it, it's ready to light and go. And the third design in this is it is designed to extinguish. So if you're using this and you decide you don't need any more heat, you just pop this off, turn it around, plug it in, and it'll extinguish itself. So they solved a lot of problems on this particular model. So I like these. These are pretty cool. I like them a lot. And their sleeve is not a felt style material. It's almost, it looks like a leather. It might be a knockoff, I'm not sure. But you slip it in this guy, and it even looks pretty classy. It looks pretty tight. It's pretty thin. It's not real thick. I think its runtime is probably equivalent to your standard hand warmer, probably 18 hours, maybe a little more. And it gets hot. It gets very hot. It actually gets, it's one of my hotter units that I have. So that's definitely something to look into if you're willing to spend a little extra money to get some of the cool features. I want to make mention of another thing that this particular company has done that I think is pretty clever. Normally you get these style funnels with these hand warmers, and they work, they're okay, and it solved the problem. You fill this thing up and you put this in the hole, and you tip it and you fill it. But it's kind of hard to do, and it's kind of hard to do it and not spill it. I've gotten pretty good at it over the years. But regardless, what this company had done is they had a funny looking funnel that you had put on the top, and you pulled this out and you put the funnel up here, and it had a little lever in it, and you filled it up to the right measurement, and you pulled the lever and it dumped it in. And that was okay, but still not the best. What they've done now is if you buy one today, a newer model at least, they come with this little bottle, and I like this better. It has markings on it, and you know what full is and what half full is, and it even tells you that 10 cc's is 10 hours, so basically you get an hour out of every cc. But what I like about this is you can fill this guy up, and you can plug it and put it in your backpack or whatever, and now you got a source of heat that you can light without a lighter. But you can fill this up too and put it in your backpack, and now you can refill it when you need it. And it's so much easier. You pull this off and you just tip it and squeeze it in the hole. I don't know why it took somebody so long to come up with such a simple idea, but it's something that they just started throwing in the package with this unit, and I like it better than what they were doing. And finally, I want to talk about one more style of hand warmer, which is kind of new. There's many hand warmers on the market. There's the chemical ones, and you crack them or you shake them, and they come in all sizes, and they work really, really well. They're kind of disposable. You use them one time. They work great. I like those too. But I prefer my regular hand warmers. Just they last a whole lot longer than the chemicals. But I ran into some of these a while back, and really liked them, so I ordered some. And what these are kind of they feel like a gel or like a liquid inside, and they're in a plastic container. And they have a little click coin inside. And I think it's sodium acetate that's in it. It's basically a fluid that's not harmful. It's non-toxic. But when you click this clicker, hopefully I get this online. There we go. You can see this reaction. And it's basically crystallizing. Oh, that's a good shot right there. It's crystallizing inside. And it's getting hot. I don't know what these things get temperature-wise. I think they're like 130 degrees. But right now, this packet is 130 degrees. They actually nicknamed this, they call this hot ice. So if you want to get on YouTube and look up hot ice, you can learn all about it. But these are handy because you can put these in your backpack as well. And if you want some instant heat, you just click that, and it'll just crystallize like that inside. And we'll do it again. So I clicked it, and there it goes. It's just going to crystallize right in front of our eyes. And it's getting hot. I can feel it on my fingers already. So it's another type of hand warmer. And these are reusable. They basically turn to a solid after you click the clicker. And to reset them, you put them in boiling water, and they'll liquefy again. And they'll be obviously hot, but you cool them down, and you can carry them with you, and you need them, you just click the clicker again, and they get warm. So they're really cool. I actually just take a coffee cup of water, I put it in the microwave, and I microwave it till the coffee cup boils, and then I just drop this in the coffee cup, and about 4 or 5 minutes later, it's liquid and ready to use again. So it's kind of neat. It's something cool to have, because you can definitely get some heat out of it. And some of them come with these little, they look like mittens, but they're just a little wool sleeve. You pop them down in there, and you put these in your pocket, and you have heat for quite a while. They're not going to last a long time, but you'll get probably about 45 minutes or an hour's worth of heat out of them. So they're kind of nice to take camping if you want some quick heat, or you're out in the woods and your hands are cold. You could definitely get your hands warmed back up with these. So just another option, and these are cheap. You can find these for like $10 a pair. So it's something else to look for if you're looking for a hand warmer. Now that you've seen my wonderful collection of hand warmers, maybe you'll be able to make a decision to buy hand warmers of your own if you're interested. And if you see any unique hand warmers out there on the market, please comment, and I'll take a look at them. I kind of collect these things. It's kind of a crazy hobby, but everybody's got to have their hobbies. So take care.